Barr is a member of the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee has a meeting also scheduled for 1:30. So what I would like to do is entertain a motion that we stand in recess, subject to call of the chair, to allow Senator Barr time to get down here. Just talk to him. If he is delayed more than about 10 minutes or so, I'll reconvene the meeting so as not to hold anybody too long. But we're going to give Chairman Barr the opportunity to be here. So if I could get a motion.
You mean this isn't a coup?
It is not a coup. Always wanted to call one of these meetings to order, and here we are, but I'm going to pass on that opportunity and ask for a motion from the floor that we stand in recess, subject to call of the chair. That Senator Norwood makes that motion. All in favor? We are in recess.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you, Senator Blunt, for covering the meeting for a few minutes. We had a quick rules meeting to handle, and we got a few nominations to take up. I'm sure several people are ready to get this out of the way and get to the floor. So the first nomination we have, we'll bring up is Senate nomination number 5. That is Mr. William Bill Jacobs out of Brookhaven, who is appointed by the Lieutenant Governor to the State Board of Education. Is Mr. Jacobs present? Hey, come on up, sir. If you can come up to the podium, wherever you're comfortable. If you could, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and why you think your appointment should be confirmed to the State Board of Education. Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. It's an honor to be here in front of y'all. A few of you I know, but over the years. I'm an old newspaper man. I have covered a lot of y'all over the years, but I sold my newspapers and retired back in 2013 and have been doing many other things since then and been on several boards. But when the lieutenant governor called me back last year and asked me about this, I jumped at it. I said, this would be a wonderful opportunity. I've been extremely involved with the public schools in Brookhaven, Lincoln County for years and helped back one of our superintendents is sitting over here from some of our glory days in Brookhaven. But through the newspaper, we worked very hard to tell the community what the importance of public education, and we were very successful. I did some pointed things and created some competition within our three systems, Brookhaven Public Schools, Lincoln County Public Schools, and Brookhaven Academy, which actually stirred up some things, but also brought up the bar a good bit. I was very involved with the beginning days of the Mississippi School of the Arts, which y'all thankfully passed, and I was part of that group that initially put it together and helped create the meeting to bring the legislation here in January. And as y'all know, by April, we had a bill passed. I don't think that happens very often, but School of the Arts is a tremendous asset to Mississippi. And we're very proud of it. And thank you all so much for doing that. I've too been very involved with Mississippi Economic Council. I'm on their boards there, and Brookhaven was one of the test spots for Mississippi scholars. And our program we put together there would put out $150,000 in scholarships every year to students in Brookhaven, Lincoln County for that. And we did some creative things to make that happen. So, you know, schools are important to me. I have two daughters who are products of Brookhaven schools. One of them is summa cum laude graduate at Barksdale and Croft at Ole Miss. The other was a magna cum laude graduate at Tulane Architecture School. So they came out pretty well, and Mississippi Brookhaven schools made them very competitive. They're both, one's an attorney now, the other is an architect. So with that, I appreciate your consideration. Happy to answer any questions and look forward. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Senator Jordan, you're recognized for a question. Senator Jordan, could you speak into the microphone for us, please?
Mr. Jacob, it's not anything in your record that will embarrass you later or us, is there? Or this committee, may I say?
I don't think so. I've
You don't think so?
misspelled a few names in newspaper over the years and people got
Understand
mad
that.
at me, but
Yes,
other than that, no.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Jordan. Any other member have any questions for Mr. Jacobs? Senator Bryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I notice he says he's been working for a newspaper, but he didn't bring any clippings. I just wanted to express to you the deep concern that I have, and I think other members have, about the current condition of the State Department of Education. And I would encourage you, while serving on the board, to talk to some school superintendents around the state and get a perspective of their views of the State Department of Education. I understand that if the board meetings, as is always the case, the board meetings tend to be, I won't say run by the staff, but the staff clearly is who you rely on to make presentations. And I would just encourage you and other board members to get input from various superintendents around the state in circumstances where they can speak freely. And thank you for being willing to do this.
I have talked with some superintendents and aware of what you're saying, and yes, I fully agree.
Thank you, Senator Bryan. Any other further questions by any member? Senator McMahon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jacobs, I serve on the peer committee, and there's some other members on this committee that also serve on that. You know, as you know, that's the investigative committee for the legislature. It's a
Right.
joint committee. And there's been a lot of questions surrounding on that committee surrounding the procedures for the bid process when bids are going out for Department of Education. I want you to be keenly aware of that.
Okay.
If an emergency bid is brought before you, you need to be questioning why.
Okay. Yes.
And I need your help with this.
Yes.
If you would be mindful of it.
I've been there for 6 months and we've spent a lot of money in bids and we've questioned some, and actually we had a vote recently, kind of stirred things up. I fully understand and I will do that, I can assure you.
Well, here in the legislature, we don't like to think of it as they're spending money in education. We like to think of it as we're investing in the next generation.
Right.
And these bids are very important. I just want it to be a fair process on the bids. I want that to be on your mind as well. And
That I can assure you. My old newspaper days, I worked very hard with those items of watching boards. I will do that, I can assure you.
I want to also bring to your attention that I am concerned about all of this electronic testing. I have voiced my opinion before, and I'm going to share again. I think that in some respects, we were better off when we were paper testing. They tell me it's more expensive to paper test, but no one's ever shown me anything. They just tell me that.
All right.
So please be mindful of it. We need your help to improve education in Mississippi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator McMahon. Senator Pope.
Just a point of clarification, Mr. Jacobs, I think our Senator Brian here dated himself. Would you explain what a clipping is?
What a clipping is? You don't do that much anymore. It's all pasting, whatever.
All right. Any further questions for Mr. Jacobs? I know sounds like he's been thoroughly examined. And so, and you're here to replace the term filled by Jason Dean until the end of 2024, I believe. Isn't that correct? Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion for Mr. Jacobs? All right. The motion is we do advise and consent from Mr. Jacobs. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Jacobs, your nomination will go to the floor of the Senate, and we'll take it up in due time.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you for
much.
willing to serve. You're for willing to serve and do what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you, Mr.
much.
Jacobs.
Appreciate it.
We're going to skip Dr. Morgan, Senate nomination 25. That's a reappointment, so she is not here. Mindful of people's times, we're going to go to nomination number 26, Matthew David Miller, State Board of Education, appointed by the governor to serve until June of 2029. Come on up here, Mr. Miller, for us, please. If you could, same thing, tell us about yourself, where you're from, your background, and what makes you think you are qualified to serve on the State Board of Education, please. And the fact that your attorney does not qualify you in some people's minds, although it does in mine, there are some people on this committee who think otherwise.
Thank you. I was not going to lead with that. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matt Miller. I am from the Hattiesburg area in Lamar County. And I was appointed by the governor. When I received his call, I was excited about this opportunity. I grew up in public education. I have 3 children. One of the biggest things I think that puts me in there, I have a vested interest in public education because I have an 11th grade at Oak Grove High School and a 7th grade at Oak Grove Middle School. So I'm going to be deeply involved in it on a personal level for at least the next 6 years. What I think I bring to the position is I'm an outsider. I have no background in education. I am a lawyer. My only connection with education is I've had the pleasure to represent various school districts in different litigation they've been involved in, as well as several junior colleges and the IHL with universities and several different things. But I think I bring a different perspective to things. I am not I don't know what I don't know, which I think is a good thing. And I'm not afraid to ask questions. I think in the very first meeting, if anyone saw it, right out of the gate, I was asking questions about certain regulations that were being proposed to be changed that would affect the university-based programs, especially those that they offer at University of Southern Mississippi that have been very, very instrumental in helping special needs children. So with that, I certainly will answer any questions that y'all may have of me.
Any members have any questions for Mr. Miller? Senator McMahon?
Counselor, thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
You heard my questions of the previous candidate. Do you have anything to add to my questions?
Other than I agree with you, no. I agree. I think my job, if y'all agree to accept my nomination, I think my job is to ask those questions. I'm familiar with the bid process, and I think that is the best way to award contracts, to make sure it's an open and fair process. So I agree with that.
I want to encourage you as you serve to keep in mind, you are not here to protect a bureaucracy or a system. You're here to serve and to help better education in this state. And I'll give you my phone number. I'd like to hear from you. If I can ever be of help to you, of service, if you'd like to come to the district and see the 4 great public school systems that I represent in the Lee County, Tupelo area, would love for you to come up, but hope that you'll keep that in mind. I am deeply concerned about these bid processes that have taken place under this COVID pandemic. And I hope under your watchful eye that you'll be cognitive of it.
Yes, sir. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Counselor.
that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Jordan?
Mr. President, I have to be redundant. I asked the first question. I'm asking the same question to everybody. There's not, Mr. Miller, there's not anything in your record that would embarrass you later or this committee?
No, sir.
Not
I'm
that
aware of.
you, okay, thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I think the fact that you got Scott Schwartz as a reference, that may put in question anything you have. So, no, I know Mr. Schwartz. I know Scott for a while. So, any further questions? Senator Hill.
I just want to thank you for your willingness to be considered for this job. And I'm looking at your background and I see that you started out at University of Southern Mississippi in accounting. And so I know that you're very capable because all of us USM graduates are very capable. I guess my question would be that going back to the bid process, I want to go all the way back to requests for proposals, requests for qualifications, and make you aware that in the past, I believe that some of these RFPs and RFQs have been specifically tailored so that only certain entities could meet them. So I just wanted to encourage you to even look that far into some of the RFPs and RFQs that you may see as you serve on this board, if you're confirmed, so that we can make sure that everybody does get a fair shot, not just who has the biggest lobbyist at some of these contracts. And I know that you're quite capable of doing that.
Thank you.
Senator Bryan. I don't think he has any clippings either, Senator Bryan.
No, I'm just hoping that he heard what I said on the previous person, because he said he heard what Senator McMahon said previously. So I won't repeat what I said previously about getting information from other superintendents, but I would encourage you and other board members to talk to school superintendents around the state in private situations where they can speak openly. And I think they might have a perspective on the current State Department that would be helpful. I was just going to say that I finished school in Amory. And when I think about schools, I of course think of Amory. And I know you have children in Oak Grove, and I'm imagining you think of schools, you think of Oak Grove, and the challenge for all of us is to realize that not all communities are as affluent as others, and how those in your position and those in our position, what we can do to actually help provide education in districts which have more difficult situations than Oak Grove has and that Amory has. Having said that, thank you for being willing to serve on the board.
Thank you, sir. And I can tell you that, as Mr. Jacobs says, I've already begun the process of reaching out and contacting with superintendents to get their point of view, because I agree with you, they're important.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Bryan. Any further questions? Do I hear a motion? Oh, Senator Polk.
John, I think he's got the votes. but go ahead.
Well, I'm going to learn it for him now. My son-in-law texted me and said that you were going to be here for this hearing. He told me to give you a lot of trouble, but I've never done anything my son-in-law wanted, so I'm not going to start now. I will say that he's a fellow Lamar Countyan and has an excellent reputation in the county. He is actually a very good attorney, and there are good attorneys, and I know that. You're one of them too, Chairman. But thank you for accepting this responsibility. And I don't want to talk the vote to where we end up not affirming him, so I will hush.
Well, Senator Bryan,
I
sometimes,
think that he said there was one good attorney here.
well, that's a different debate for a different day. So I have a motion by Senator Polk that we do advise and consent. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. All right. So the ayes have it. Mr. Miller, your nomination will go to the floor and we'll take that up within the next couple of weeks. So thank you, and thank you for willingness to serve. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all for y'all's time.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we've got Senate nomination 74, Dr. Gwendolyn Barrett, who's from Biloxi, wants to serve on the Board of Education, appointed by Governor Reeves. Come on up here, Dr. Barrett, and to serve until the end of 2027, June of 2027. Same thing I said to everybody else. Please tell us about yourself and why you're qualified to serve on the board.
Well, I attended public school in Mississippi. I'm a graduate from St. Martin High School in Ocean Springs, and I've taught for 19 years, 14 in elementary and the last 5 in high school. I've taught every grade except for 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I think I have a diverse background and different levels of education. And I think I have a good perspective to bring to the board from the teacher's point of view. And hopefully I can bring a voice for the students and the teachers of Mississippi.
So you're a current teacher now? So what do you think of the pay raise bill that we just passed? Okay, that's a good answer. Good answer. Senator Delano, do you have any questions for Dr. Barrett?
Well, I see Senator Jordan's over there. I know the question that he's going to ask her. But Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that we don't hold her references against her, or especially the last one that she listed on here. I know Wendy and actually her husband is a city council member in Biloxi, and I don't want her reference to reflect poorly on her because, gosh.
Dr. Barrett, there's any way you can find another person besides that last one? Surely there's another person out there that you can get a reference from.
Other than Senator Carter, gosh. Oh, yeah, we actually did. But I want to tell you, in all seriousness, thank you very much for your willingness to serve on the school board. Hope this goes favorably for you today, and which I'm sure that it will. You do bring a very unique perspective from the inside of the classroom, and to have that instructor's, that teacher's voice, the student's voice of what they have to deal with at the school board level or at the Board of Education level is incredibly important and very valuable. And we look forward to working with you, and we'll wish you all the best. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve.
Senator Jordan.
Yes, I just want to add a little more. It's a little hard working with ladies like with those questions. Let me ask you, say you taught 19 years, you taught what?
I've taught kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th,
And
9th, 11th, 12th, English, high school.
oh,
I
you
teach
taught
English.
high school English.
Elementary, you teach all of the
Okay.
courses, and when
You taught high school English.
I'm currently a high school
Okay,
English
so I
teacher.
better be very careful myself then. The one question that we usually ask, is there anything in your record that would embarrass yourself later or this committee
Not to-
that you know of? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator
Thank you,
Jordan.
Chairman.
Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Barrett, for your willingness to serve. Your family is a glutton for punishment with your husband being on city council. I don't know how long he's been there, but Senator Jordan and I, as well as Senator McMahon, can attest to the uneasiness at times that he has and at times thankless, but I want to thank he as well as you. Y'all are really, wow. But how many, I'm from DeSoto County, and how many children are in the Harrison County School District? Roundabout, do you?
I'm a teacher in Jackson County.
Jackson County.
My high school has, we have 3 attendance centers, and of Jackson County, St. Martin Attendance Center is the largest, and our high school has 1,300 students, roughly, 1,300 students. And then we
Okay.
have 2 other, Van Cleve and East Central.
No, I saw Harrison County in here somewhere.
I taught there for 14 years. I
14.
moved to high school 5 years ago.
So how many's in Harrison County? Do you know about? No.
Don't,
It's larger than Jackson County.
yes, it is. They are 3 high schools, Harrison Central, D'Iberville, and West Harrison. So it's quite a large school district, probably one of the largest in the state.
Well, I want to express my sentiments as Senator McMahon has about visiting other school districts. I'm sure Superintendent Usleton will be glad to have each of the nominees to come up to DeSoto County, where we have 35,000 children in one school district. And just listen to the board's needs. It's hard for the state to listen to our needs where there's so many other issues all over the state. But again, I invite you to come up. I'll be glad to host you, whatever it might be, all of you, the nominees, to come and visit. It's definitely will be a road trip for you, but it'll be well worth your coming to see. And again, I thank you for willingness to serve.
Thank you, Senator McClendon. Senator McMahon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Barrett, you said you've taught for 20 years. There's been a lot of change in education over the last 20 years, but I personally believe that the speed of technology is moving so fast now, we'll see more changes in the next 5 years under your leadership than we've seen in the last 20 years. Just for the record, I really value and appreciate what you have to share in this conversation because you actually have been a teacher in the classroom. In your opinion, it's neither right or wrong, but in your opinion, you've paper tested and you've electronically tested. Which method do you prefer and why?
Well, there's pros and cons for both. Electronically, you're going to get your data back quicker. And when you have tests that are determining if a student graduates, their state test, it determines if they're graduating. If you have a senior who's trying to test and he's going to retest, and you can get this data back and see what he needs to work on, what we can do to try to get him across that stage. Having it electronically, that's a good, major bonus. When the pandemic come through and we were caught so off guard, we were able to see just how important online education can be. Today, I'm not in my classroom, but my students are receiving all their lessons that I would be giving them on their Canvas account. So, there's still things. I've been in education 20 years, so I'll have a little grade book that I keep before I go put it in the computer. So there are things that I'm set with my ways with, but there's a lot of bonuses to the electronic testing, and there's some negatives. Wi-Fi could go down the day of testing, and the computer shut down and lose all of the students' work. So it's, just there's pros and cons for each.
Right, but do you have a preference and why? Is there a preference?
Just the availability to get the information back in a timely manner rather than sending it off, waiting, especially when it's, we have seniors that you take the state test in 9th, 11th, 10th grade, the US history in 11th grade. But if you don't pass them, you get to retake them, the following semesters. And so we have people that they're in their senior year of high school waiting on that test to know if they're going to graduate or not. So
I've traveled the state and I've been to 36 public school systems. Well, no, they're not all public. I've been to 36 schools. And in your opinion, what do you think the greatest challenge is presently before us as in education?
the greatest challenge,
And just your opinion, it's not a right or wrong answer.
I think the greatest challenge is finding a way to build relationships with parents to get them on board with education. We can only do so much in the classroom. And I think before you can have a child do anything for you as a teacher, they've got to know that you care about them and that you're invested in them and you want what's best for them. And they're going to do way more for you when they think you actually care, and you can see it from one classroom to the next. And if there's a falling away of parental support, and I think that's one of our major issues, because you can only do so much when you have them in the classroom, and you have to have that support to help kids to see that there is. So many are filled with like, it's just a cycle of hopelessness and they don't see a way out. There's just some way that we can show them that there is a way to change the cycle that they've seen so far. And I wish I could tell you how to fix that, because I would love to, but I think that's the biggest challenge we're facing.
Appreciate your answer. Thank you. Well said.
Thank you, Senator McMahon. Any further questions for Dr. Barrett? Then Senator Delano has a motion that we do advise and consent. Any discussion on before we vote? Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Dr. Barrett, congratulations. Your nomination will go to the floor.
Thank you
Take it up
so
a
much.
couple weeks. Thank you very much. The last in-person nomination we have is Mr. Durrett, Senate Nomination 93 to the Mississippi Charter School Authorizer Board, appointed by Governor Reeves. Come on up, sir. Come on up here. And you've heard what we talked about already. And if you could go ahead and tell us about yourself, tell us about what your background is in your background that makes you qualified to serve on the Charter School Authorizer Board, and anything else you could tell us about yourself. Thank you.
Absolutely. I was born and raised in Amory. Senator Bryan knows what a great city that is. Public school system, had a great experience in the public schools. Went to Ole Miss to make my mother happy. I went to Mississippi State to make my father happy. Got my master's in English at State, so made both of them happy. I practice law. I've been doing that for about 22 years. I've got 4 children that are all in the public school system. Last year, I had a distinction of having a child in every possible school that there was, elementary school, middle school, high school, and college. I'm finally getting one out of college, hopefully, and putting another one in. But I had a great experience in the public school systems. And so, I think every child should have that opportunity. And so that's why I have an interest in the charter school system. And that's why I was happy to accept the nomination from the governor.
I got a question for you, and it seems like there's quite a bit of pressure for the authorizer board to create new schools or establish new schools that maybe or may not meet the new guidelines that we expect for charter school boards. What is your opinion on that? And do you think that if you're confirmed to this position that you can abide by the rules set for the authorizer board and only create or establish new schools if they meet the guidelines? And if they don't meet the guidelines for current schools, that are you willing to remove their charter if necessary?
Absolutely. I mean, if charter schools are going to be in existence and serve their purpose, then there has to be an extreme and extensive vetting process. It does the children no good to take them out of one situation that may be problematic and put them into another situation. What I'd say is that the goal is to hold charter schools to a higher standard. Because if they are formed and they don't perform, then they will have their charter removed. So absolutely, in looking at applications, we will hold it to the highest standard. and make sure that not only do they fit a need, but they are the best to fit that need.
Thank you. Any questions? Senator Boyd?
I want to kind of go back to what Chairman DeBar said. There has been a lot of chatter about the charter schools and really looking at the success of those particular charter schools. And so I'm going to encourage you as well to look at the ones that we have right now, look at their retention rates as far as teachers, look at discipline rates, and exactly what our state school board would be looking at if they were looking at the success and failures of our public schools. There's a lot of chatter. What is actually true and not true, quite frankly, I'm not sure we know exactly, and we are asking you to do this. So I would just encourage you, and I know you by reputation, and it is a good reputation. You're close to my community, and so I'm thrilled that you're willing to do this, and I'm thrilled that you are committing your time to do this. It is a thankless job, but it is one that is much needed in this state. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Senator Boyd. Senator Jordan?
Additional. Yes, sir. Approximately out of the 138 school districts, we have 38. Approximately how many students are there in total in the public school system? You have an idea?
I don't know the total number of students in the entire school system. I know in the charter school system, there are anywhere between 2,500 and 3,000 students that are part of the charter school system. I don't know what the number is for the totality of the public school system. I don't, sorry.
Okay, thank you. The final question is anything in your record that would embarrass you or this committee in the future that you know of?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. You bet. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Jordan. Senator Bryan?
I'm not good with technology. Thank you for doing this, Lee. I would just say that I was opposed to charter schools, and I think there are a number of us that were opposed to charter schools when this legislation was passed. But I think it's the case that I don't know of anyone in the legislature who is opposed to charter schools who's tried in any way at all to undermine the board or anything that is going on. My theory is I'll be able to have a fair shot at things. And it seems to me that part of that is that part of what has happened is we've had really good people on the board. And in particular, the board has been very careful to make sure that fly-by-night operations didn't suddenly spring up and take advantage of the system. And so I'm sure that we'll continue to do as the board previously has done, and I'll continue to leave you alone.
Well, Senator, to your point, I believe, that there is a place for charter schools. I understand. Both my grandmothers are public school teachers. My sister works in the public school system, so I understand that friction. But the way I look at it is the opportunity to give our children, the best that we can give. And if that's a charter school situation and it meets the criteria, then I think they should have that opportunity. So absolutely we would hold them to strict standards. Absolutely we would.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bryan. Senator Hill?
Thank you for your willingness to serve. Just want to make one comment that, as you know, if you're agreeing to serve on this board, that a charter school is a public school, is a special kind of public school. And I wanted to bring your attention to the fact that every public school in the state, the day I came into office, there is a statute on the books that allowed any public school to self-convert to a charter school, and none have taken advantage of that. And, that's just something that's never brought up. I agree that wherever a child is functioning well, is the best place for them. And, I too have heard some of the rumblings about what may or may not be going on in the charter schools, but I agree with Senator Bryan. We got some good members on the board. And I think that the members should be able to get to the bottom of it and figure out exactly what is or is not going on. And, report back to the legislature and, let us know how we can help if we need to help or what we need to do. Because I do believe there is a place for charter schools. And I'm willing to help in any way possible. And I think most of the rest of us are to do what we need to do to make sure that they're functioning correctly. And so we know what's going on.
Thank you, Senator Hill. Any further questions or comments? All right. Then I'm hearing a motion by Senator Bryan that we do advise and consent. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Sir, your nomination goes to the floor and we'll take that up next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much and your willingness to serve. We appreciate that. Okay, let's, the last one on the agenda, we're going to jump back up to Senate nomination number 25, Dr. Karen Morgan from Oxford. She is a reappointment. Elam, and she is a reappointment to the Board of Education by the Governor Reeves. And I'm going to recognize Senator Boyd to talk about Dr. Elam for us, please.
I've known Karen Elam for about, and you'll laugh, don't hold her reference against her, as well as Senator Delano pointed out. I've known Dr. Elam now probably for almost 20 years now. And I am thrilled that she has once again agreed to commit to this service. She has served on the charter school board. She served on the state education board with overlapping years and some of that so that the charter school could have a liaison on the state school board. And there was consistency among those boards. She is retired. She is intelligent. She is thoughtful, and she has done a great job at really looking at accountability issues, and she will continue to do that. She brings a wealth of experience on this board, and she is very good to go out to the schools and to kind of hear what is going on. So I am thankful that we get to have her come before this board again and to do that service again. So at the appropriate time, I would like to motion that we advise and consent.
Okay. Senator Boyd, all those great things about Dr. Elam, do you think that this Judge Tollison as a reference, does that discredit everything you just said about her?
Don't think so at all.
Okay, all right. All right, any comments or questions for Senator Boyd? Senator Norwood?
I'd just like to ask the question, I guess, of you. Make sure I'm reading this right. How many years in total will, I'm not questioning credentials at all, but just the number of years of service to the, on the school board?
If you look at the peer report on the front page, her prior service was 2014 to 21, and she's up for a renomination or reappointment until June of 2030.
So that's what, 7,
And
this is
it'd be 16 years.
For a 9-year term that she's being reappointed to.
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Norwood. Any further questions or comments?
Chairman DeBar, is there a reason she was unable to join us today?
My policy has been that for reappointments, we don't ask them to come since they've already been confirmed at one point. If that's something the committee would like to do, then we can do that. But I think at this point, based on Senator Boyd's recommendation, I think that she's sufficiently qualified to serve on the board. So you have a motion, Senator Boyd?
I move that we advise and consent.
Okay, you've heard Senator Boyd's motion that we do advise and consent. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Right, the ayes have it. And her motion rise and report by Senator Delano. Thank you.